Hello there, my interweb friends. It's your old pal Jason here with another Bad Batch Season 3 review. Today I'll be talking about Episode 9 titled The Harbinger. But before I get started, as always, I will be talking a few spoilers. So if you haven't seen this episode yet and you don't want it spoiled for you, stop the video, go to Disney Plus, check it out, then come on back and we can talk about it. But now that we're past the spoiler warning, let's dive in, shall we? Well, the episode we've been waiting for has finally arrived. Just as I had predicted in my Episode 8 review, Asajj Ventress made her appearance in this episode. She, in fact, was the bounty hunter that Fennec Shand was in cahoots with. I hate to say it, but that was pretty easy to predict. We saw Ventress in the trailers, and just, again, based on what happened in Season 1 with the Martez sisters and Rex, it was only fitting that they would do the same thing with Fennec Shand and Asajj Ventress. It was really good to see Asajj Ventress re-enter the fold. It was really cool to see her interact with the Bad Batch and become sort of a mentor to Omega. What I really appreciate is that they did take Dark Disciple into consideration when bringing Ventress into the show. If you look very closely at her face, you'll see little black streaks kind of running up her chin. They're not very defined, but they are there. Those, of course, are the scars from Dooku's Force Lightning when he tried to kill Voss and she jumped in the way instead. Also, speaking of Dark Disciple, I'm glad I decided to reread that book before this episode came along, because it really did help me fill in some of those gaps. They didn't mention it in this episode, but I kind of figured out how she could have possibly come back. For anyone who hasn't read that book, there's a moment at the end when Voss is putting her to rest in the living waters of Dathomir, and the water glows green. He thinks that the water is accepting her because she was the lost sister, and now he's returned her back to her home. I'm almost certain now that the living waters were regenerating her, were bringing her back to life. Now, they'll probably explain it further in another project, but I'm glad that that detail really still holds, and I can't wait to see the exact particulars of that, but it's really, really cool, really satisfying that they kind of worked that in. I know I've talked about Ventress a lot, but she's kind of the highlight of this episode. The rest of the batch kind of distrusting her and everything is pretty on par. I mean, the mission to assassinate Count Dooku was off the books and very much a secret kept by the Jedi Council. So the knowledge that she had received a full pardon and she was no longer a war criminal didn't really reach very far, because we're talking about something that happened very late in the Clone Wars. It was kind of funny that the clones thought they could take her out. She really was holding back, and this is a very different character than we knew from the Clone Wars, because she went through all that growth, especially in the Dark Disciple novel. I'm really glad that a lot of that character growth has still remained the same. I mean, she's still looking out for herself. She's kind of been jaded by things that had happened to her even in that book, but she's not as mean as she was back during the Clone Wars. So it's really kind of cool to see this other side of Ventress play out on screen. Do I think Asajj Ventress is going to return later on this season? Probably not. It's possible she might make an appearance in the series finale, but I highly doubt that. It kind of feels like the Ahsoka episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, where they introduced Ahsoka into the world of The Mandalorian to let the audiences know that she survived beyond all that. So I think this is going to be something similar. I'm very hopeful for Asajj Ventress's future. I can't wait to see more of her and what they do with her. That's just a really interesting character. As much as I love Ahsoka, I think Asajj Ventress is probably the most interesting character on the Clone Wars. Asajj Ventress's arc throughout the Clone Wars and then coming all the way out to Bad Batch is very fascinating and a lot of fun to explore, and I can't wait to see them explore that even further. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode. Doesn't really do much to advance the story yet again. It was really nice to see Asajj Ventress, and I'm very, very hopeful for the future, and maybe we'll see her again in the series finale. Who knows? But that is just my opinion. Let me know what you thought of Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 9, The Harbinger, down in the comments. What was your favorite part? Were you happy to see Ventress return just as much as I was? I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. You want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get updates on all my future videos. You can also follow my social media pages. Links down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Bye.